What's going on, everybody? My name is Dylon57, and today I'm coming at you with another epic video. Today I wanted to talk about my experiences with Mythic Plus recently and kind of go over some of my thoughts about it. Um, First off, before I start the video, I want to express that I acknowledge that people are very passionate about Mythic Plus. Um, you have people who are more casual about it and kind of go into it, you know, more casually. They'll do like twos and threes and things like that. But then you have people on the other end of the spectrum who go like super hard and have a lot of that like get good mentality. I'm not saying any of that is necessarily wrong. It's just very polarizing, and I want to establish a baseline as to where I'm coming from as a player. Um, I am not God's gift to World of Warcraft by any stretch. I am like mid. Whenever I get into a group, I generally perform well. I normally don't die. Sometimes I do. I'm a human. I make mistakes, which I know is unacceptable in World of Warcraft, but I am. So, there's that. But anyway, I kind of wanted to go into my experience with even trying to get into a dungeon and the experiences therein. So buckle up. Anyway, first off, it takes forever to even get into a Mythic Plus dungeon. I have sat there for an hour sometimes before I'll even get into one. You constantly go into the group finder and things like that. Let me see if my group finder's still up. Okay, so I refreshed this group finder just a little while ago, and you can see there's so many that have already been delisted. You'll apply, and you can only apply for 5 at a time. So the groups fill up so fast, it's really hard to stand out in the list. I have a 510 eye level. I have a couple of heroic pieces. I've got my bisque gloves. I've got my trinkets, which are just like a huge DPS increase. Um, I run my Sims. I have the which one? I have uh cool cool gym cool gym from the reputation thing that I always use. I have my enchants consumes this and that. But even then, it's hard to stand out because those kind of things can't really be quantified. It's boiled down to the one number. So if you see 510, but then you also see 511, we're humans. We're gonna pick 511. It's number higher, number gooder. It just makes sense. And there isn't like a super good solution to that. Item level is really important. It kind of gives people an overall view of what your character is capable of. So I can't really fault people for that. You know, um, that just is what it is. But when you even do get into a dungeon, you either have a really great time or a really bad time. I have found it's like whenever you I've had groups where we go in and we smash it and everything's cool. Yeah, we die a couple times. Whatever. No big deal. We use our B reses. We, keep going. It's fine. And then I'll get in other groups where it's like nothing goes right from the jump. I feel like some people will sign up for keys trying to like bite off more than they can chew, and that leads to the whole group kind of just falling apart. I know that I'm not ready for a plus 10 or a 14 or 15 or whatever. I'm not. My gear's not good enough. I do good damage, but not that good. And whenever you get up that high, that's when those things start mattering. But I know that I'm not ready for that, so I don't queue for that stuff. I queue for like +6 because right now I'm right at the cusp. I mean, you saw my gear. I have a couple heroic pieces that I got to start leveling up. I'm about to get different upgrades. Once I get some crests under my belt, I'll get my crafted boots. I'll get my crafted wrists. But even then, the wrists that I do have are heroic wrists, so pretty cool. Haste mastery, not so bad. I I'll take it. You know. Um, So yeah, that's about where my character's at right now. It's about on a +6. I can go into a +6. I can perform really well. I can get my crest. I can move on. But other people, they'll think they can, but they actually can't because they either don't know the mechanics well enough, can't adapt to mechanics, or their gear just isn't good enough. Which I have a hard time kind of understanding how people can't adapt to mechanics. Maybe it's just me, but oftentimes I'll go into content and I won't know shit about it, like at all. I'll go in and I pretty much just from like what DBM says and look like opening my eyes and looking, I can kind of just tell what's going to happen. But even then, if I end up having issues, I literally, sorry, I was itchy. I literally just look up like a 3-minute video and I'm fine, you know? Or I adapt to whatever it is because it's not that hard. So you get in groups with people who are like that though, that don't really have the ability to adapt or anything like that. And I've been in some of these groups where I get to the end of it and I'm like, what can we learn? What can we learn from this? What can we take away from this failure so it's not useless, right? And most people are just like, oh, that's the way it goes. Sometimes keys just fail. It's like, man, I just don't like that answer. I just really don't. It's like, what can I take away as like a player who may have messed up once or something, but for the most part did everything fine? What can I do differently to help other people? And what can I do to help people who are not doing as good? It's really hard. I actually had a comment the other day where it's really hard for people who are at those higher levels to help people who are not as good because people are commodities and you're not going to see them again. It is very, very rare that you see a person again. So there's no incentive to make them better. And to me that's just kind of sad, but it's also true. And that commenter kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things. So yeah, it's like in the good ones, it's like cool. There's not really anything to take away from me. I get my crest, I move on. But these bad ones are just so bad, and they feel demoralizing almost. It's like I just spent upwards of 30 minutes to an hour or whatever trying to even get into one of these, and it's a 50-50 shot as to whether or not it's even going to be any good. So I don't know. That's that's been one of the primary woes, but there was another piece that I wanted to talk about too, which is Raider IO. I kind of wanted to touch on this as like a topic because I feel like Raider IO is both a really good thing and also a really bad thing for the game. It's really good for people at the high level. It's really bad for people who are either just starting or at the low level because the information is so readily available. It's like it's like a feast or famine kind of thing. You know, whenever people look at my Raider IO profile, which is right there available, you go to your little thing, You can see everything about the person who's created the thing. I see they've done some of the heroic content. They cleared, normal Mirror Sill. They mostly do Mythic Plus. They have a really high Mythic Plus score, so they're kicking ass or taking names, doing this and that. Meanwhile, you have me over here. I have a low Mythic Plus score because I haven't been able to do very many successful ones, and the highest that I've done is a +6. You know, that's the one of the +6s I was able to actually finish, and I've been grinding Nefarious and stuff like that to try and get my Abyss pieces. So I've done a lot of those. But regardless, yeah, it's like when somebody sees that, they they aren't gonna pick me. They're just not gonna do it. They're gonna pick the guy with the big score or the best high score for a season or what have you, because you can even show that information too. You can show what your highest score was for a given season or your highest score ever. So that's kind of how they tried to solve that problem, where at the beginning of the season you're not kind of like fucked because you don't have a number. You can show like a previous one that was high. So I get that, but it still kind of divides the social hierarchy, the social classes, and the skill gap between people because that information is so transparent. Which I'm all for transparency and information, and I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just it's a thing. It's a human nature thing, and it's it's one of those things where, like, when you try to get a job and they say, okay, you need X amount of experience to get hired for this position. It's like, okay, well, I thought you said it was an entry level position. Well, yeah, but you need to have experience. Okay, well, how am I supposed to get experience if I can't actually do it? You know? It's kind of one of those things like, oh, go get your education. Okay, cool. Everybody's done that. Everybody's done that. And it's saturated. Everybody needs a job right now. And on the flip side, no one's hiring people right now. So what makes me stand out? Nothing. Nothing. So, anyway, all that's to say, there is a huge divide between the upper skill levels and the lower skill levels, and the barrier to entry is super high because of external factors. I feel like Raid.io kind of compounds it just because there's such detailed information. If people just went off eye level, then I feel like that would be less of a problem. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that I'm not going to use the information on Raider.io. I totally am. And I'm totally going to pick the person with more experience every time. Because I'm a human. And I'm going to do it. I absolutely am. That makes me a hypocrite? Okay. Okay. But, that's what people do. So, that kind of leads me into, if you can't do Mythic Plus, or it's very hard to do Mythic Plus, what are your solutions? Well, Mythic rating isn't really a solution, because trying to pug a Mythic raid is like pulling teeth. It's so bad. It's real bad. The other day, I tried to raid lead a Mythic Aberrus run, and keep in mind, this, at the time of recording, this was not awakened. This is like everybody's over geared to the teeth style. Just do the mechanics and you win raid. and we managed to find somebody with a skip, which is awesome. I didn't do the content when it was live or whatever because I started kind of late. Anyway, we found somebody with a skip. We killed the first boss just fine. We got to Echo, and the whole group died. We wiped a couple times. The couple people who had done it were like, "Oh, I don't feel like progging this with a bunch of shitters," and everybody else was like, "Okay, well, I mean, if the good people are gone, I'm just gonna leave." So yeah, a lot of people just want to get carried. I don't want to get carried. I want to do the damn thing. But I digress. Trying to pug a mythic is like pulling teeth. Oh look, another fragment of desire. I actually needed one of those to complete my 3 out of 3. Hooray! I actually have, I think 3 of each. Not one off. One off 3 of each. Close. Anyway, so trying to do a mythic pug is awful. If people struggle with mechanics on a normal raid, better believe they're going to struggle on a mythic raid. And I'm not even about to say that I am at the level to do a mythic raid. I don't think I am. The only reason why I even tried with Avarice was because it's not awakened. And I'm overgeared. Thought I could just smash it. Oh boy, was I wrong. So, getting into that high level content is really closed off for the solo player. I know that I say that a lot, and it's an MMO. You play with MMO people, but I don't want to. I don't want to do that. I just don't want to do it. I don't like being beholden to people because I don't like disappointing people, and I have a lot of anxiety problems, and I don't want to have to deal with a group of people constantly scrutinizing my performance and stuff. It's just one of those things, like playing by myself. Anyway, with a solo player, there isn't really a lot of content that's at that level that we can do to to get the gear. And it's not like I want the gear to be free. I definitely don't want that. It should be hard to get the highest level stuff. But I'm really hoping that with some of the future expansions, they'll do more stuff like they did with like the Mage's Tower and the challenges, like mop challenge modes. I thought that was dope. I thought those were super cool and super effective, even. Um, Not to mention, man, that challenge mode armor from Mop, shit was dope. It was so cool. Anyway, I hope that they do more stuff like that. They give us more content like that we can do solo. That's still like really difficult and engaging and manageable for one person to do. But I guess we'll just have to find out. You know, we'll just have to find out. And right now, with the way the game is at current, I'm probably going to be forced to have to find a group of people to play with if I want my gear to be any better. Because all of my heroic pieces, like my pants here, they require the what do you call them? What do you call them? The Aspects Awaken crests, right? They require these. Technically, I could get one upgrade on a piece of gear at this time, but I need to save up 120 of these puppies to craft my bis crafted. You know what I'm saying? And I got these 17 crests after hours. Hours of trying to get a Mythic Plus group to be successful. I know that some people might say, oh, well, you're the common denominator. Lol, lol, lol. Well, I mean, not super. If we go back, see, like, here was a trash pool Here was a boss from earlier. Boss from earlier over on my details. I was doing a lot of damage. You know, I was doing fine. Um, Overall, Nefarious numbers, good. You know, did a lot of interrupts. I'm tracking interrupts over there. Did a lot of them. So it's not like I'm not trying, right? This was one that we cleared, sure, but this other one, uh, what was what was this? Yeah, this was Academy. So I did like 100 something million damage to trash or whatever. Um, but we died to the boss. Healer couldn't keep up with the damage. So it's been taking me forever to get any crest at all. So really, there's no answer. What do we do about this? Nothing. You don't do anything. It's the way that things are. It's kind of like how corporate America is, or the government, and things like that. I don't like to super talk about it a whole lot because, first off, I find it horribly boring, and second off, there's no point in talking about it because it doesn't matter what I say anyway. So, which I guess you could say that about a lot of things, but I digress. But anyway, um, you you have to group up or shut up. That's that's the thing. I don't know how I'm going to reconcile that in my mind and how I'm going to handle that. There's really two options for me at this point. I either accept that I'm going to have to talk to people and be social in any kind of way, or I have to be fine with 515 eye level and kind of just be chill about it. So there's that. So I guess let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd be really curious to hear perspectives from different people, people who are in guilds, people who aren't in guilds, people who are good, people who aren't so good. Just let me know. Like and subscribe for more quality content. Also, Patreon. Well, unemployment's about to run out, and I can't find a job. So your dollar helps. But I'm not e-begging. You can do whatever you want. Thank you.